Have you ever watched a scoreboard and felt like it had to be wrong? Because that's exactly what happened in Berlin. Thousands of fans inside the stadium stared at the giant screen, blinking again and again, waiting for the numbers to change. Surely this wasn't real. Alex Eala, leading Elena Rybakina, the reigning Wimbledon champion, the world number 2, one of the most feared players on grass. It simply didn't make sense. The scoreboard refused to correct itself. The crowd grew quieter with every passing game. Not because nothing was happening, but because something unbelievable was unfolding right in front of their eyes. You know that strange silence that fills a stadium when reality refuses to follow expectations? That was the atmosphere inside Berlin's Steffi Graf Stadium on a warm Thursday afternoon. A 21-year-old from the Philippines stood across the net from one of the biggest names in women's tennis. And for the first time all afternoon, it looked like fear had changed sides. But here's what almost everyone missed. The biggest miracle of this story didn't happen during the match. It happened weeks before the players even walked onto that court. Because if you only watched the final score, then you completely missed the real story. To understand why Alex Eala shocked the tennis world, we have to go back. Not to Berlin, not even to the first serve. We have to go back to the disappointment, to the defeat, to the quiet weeks when nobody was watching. Because that's where this incredible story truly begins. Before Berlin, the tennis world already knew exactly who Elena Rybakina was. She wasn't just another top player. She was a Grand Slam champion, a Wimbledon winner, a player whose serve has terrified the very best athletes in sport. On grass, she becomes even more dangerous. The ball stays low. Her flat ground strokes explode through the court, and opponents often find themselves reacting instead of attacking. Very few players know how to stop her once she finds her rhythm. That's exactly why almost nobody gave Alex Eala a real chance. And honestly, can you blame them? Just 5 weeks earlier, these two players had met on the clay courts of Rome. That match wasn't competitive. Rybakina controlled almost everything from the very first game. She defeated Eala in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3. It wasn't just a loss. It was a lesson. The kind of defeat that can destroy a young player's confidence. When the Berlin draw was released and fans saw these two names in the same section once again, nobody asked if Alex Eala could win. The only question people were asking was, how quickly would Rybakina finish the job this time? Have you ever watched something unfold right in front of your eyes and still struggled to believe it was actually happening? That was the feeling inside Berlin's Steffi Graf Stadium. Thousands of spectators looked toward the giant scoreboard, then back at the court, and then back at the scoreboard again. Because what they were seeing simply didn't match reality. Or at least, the reality they had expected before the match began. On one side of the net stood Elena Rybakina, the Wimbledon champion, the world number 2, one of the biggest servers in women's tennis. A player who has spent years making even the very best athletes look ordinary on grass courts. On the other side stood a 21-year-old from the Philippines, Alex Eala, a player many fans still viewed as a talented youngster, someone with potential, someone whose biggest achievements were still supposed to be years away. Before the first ball was even struck, almost every prediction pointed in the same direction. Rybakina would win. Maybe comfortably, maybe in straight sets, but win nonetheless. Nobody came to Berlin expecting to witness one of the biggest upsets of the grass court season. Nobody expected Alex Eala to stand toe-to-toe with one of the most feared players in the world. And almost nobody imagined she would leave the court as the winner. Yet, as the match unfolded, something extraordinary started happening. The scoreboard refused to tell the story everyone had prepared for. Instead of watching the favorite pull away, fans watched the underdog grow stronger. Every game created more uncertainty. Every point increased the pressure. Every winner from Eala made the crowd just a little quieter. Not because they weren't impressed, but because they were trying to process what they were witnessing. It felt like reality itself had decided to ignore every prediction. But here's the part that most people completely missed. The miracle didn't begin in Berlin. It didn't begin with a spectacular winner. It didn't begin with an incredible passing shot. And it certainly didn't begin when match point was converted. The real story started weeks earlier, far away from the bright lights, far away from television cameras, far away from packed stadiums. It started after disappointment, after frustration, after a painful defeat that could have broken the confidence of almost any young player. Because 5 weeks before Berlin, Alex Eala and Elena Rybakina had already met. The location was Rome, the surface was clay, and the outcome couldn't have been more different. Rybakina controlled the match from start to finish. She won in straight sets. Every aspect of her game looked stronger. Her serve was untouchable. Her ground strokes were heavier. Her experience showed in every important moment. For Alex Eala, it wasn't just another loss. It was a harsh reminder of how far she still had to climb if she wanted to compete with the very best players in the world. Most young players walk away from defeats like that carrying doubt. They begin questioning themselves. Was I good enough? Can I really compete at this level? Maybe I'm not ready yet. Those thoughts destroy countless careers before they ever truly begin. But Alex Eala made a decision that would change everything. Instead of allowing that defeat to define her, she used it as information. She didn't ask, "Why did I lose?" She asked something much more powerful. What exactly do I need to change before we meet again? That single question quietly started building one of the biggest upsets the tennis world would witness all season. ***, have you ever witnessed a moment so unbelievable that your mind simply refused to accept what your eyes were seeing? ***. That was exactly the feeling inside Berlin's Steffi Graf Stadium. Thousands of spectators sat frozen in their seats, their eyes constantly shifting between the court and the giant scoreboard above them. Some people blinked. Others rubbed their eyes. A few even glanced at the person sitting next to them as if silently asking, ***, are you seeing this too? ***, because what the scoreboard was showing simply didn't make sense. The numbers stayed there. They refused to change. And with every passing minute, those numbers became harder and harder to ignore. Standing on one side of the court was Elena Rybakina, the reigning Wimbledon champion, one of the most feared players on the WTA Tour. A woman whose powerful serve has intimidated the very best players in the world. A player who has built a reputation for making elite opponents look completely ordinary whenever she steps onto a grass court. On the opposite side stood a young woman from the Philippines, only 21 years old. Alexandra Eala, a talented young player, yes. A rising prospect, absolutely. But someone the tennis world still viewed as being years away from challenging the sport's biggest names on a consistent basis. Before this match even began, almost every prediction sounded exactly the same. Rybakina would win. Most experts believed she would win comfortably. Some predicted straight sets. Others believed Eala might keep things competitive for a while before experience eventually took over. Almost nobody believed this would become one of the biggest stories of the grass court season. But sometimes, sports has a strange way of ignoring predictions. Sometimes rankings lose their meaning. Sometimes statistics become completely useless. And sometimes, one fearless athlete decides she no longer cares what everyone expects. That afternoon in Berlin, something extraordinary was quietly beginning to unfold. At first, nobody realized it. The crowd watched normally. Commentators spoke with confidence. Everything felt routine. Until it didn't. Because point by point, game by game, the atmosphere inside the stadium slowly began to change. The usual noise started disappearing. People weren't cheering as loudly anymore. Instead, they were simply watching, trying to understand what they were witnessing. It wasn't excitement. It wasn't shock. It was something much deeper. It was disbelief. The kind of disbelief that only appears when reality refuses to follow the script everyone had already written before the first serve. But here's the part that makes this story so fascinating. The biggest miracle didn't happen on that court. It didn't happen when Alex Eala hit a spectacular winner. It didn't happen when she converted match point. And it certainly didn't happen because Elena Rybakina suddenly forgot how to play tennis. No, the real miracle happened weeks before Berlin. Long before television cameras arrived. Long before thousands of fans filled the stadium. Long before social media exploded with highlight clips and headlines celebrating one of the biggest upsets of the tournament. The real story began somewhere much quieter. Somewhere almost nobody was paying attention. Because if you truly want to understand why Alex Eala shocked the tennis world, you have to go back. Not to Berlin. Not even to the first practice session on grass. You have to go back to disappointment. To frustration. To one painful afternoon in Rome. Because sometimes, the biggest victories begin with the most painful defeats. Heading into Berlin, everyone already knew exactly who Elena Rybakina was. She wasn't simply another top-ranked player trying to collect another tournament title. She had already established herself as one of the most dangerous competitors in women's tennis. Winning Wimbledon had completely changed the way players looked at her. Her serve wasn't just powerful. It was one of the biggest weapons on the entire WTA Tour. Players constantly talked about how difficult it was to read. Coaches spent hours preparing strategies just to neutralize it. Even then, very few actually succeeded. But her serve wasn't the only reason she was so dangerous. Her ground strokes exploded through the court. Her timing was exceptional. She stayed remarkably calm under pressure. And perhaps most importantly, grass was her best surface. Everything about her game became even more dangerous on grass. The ball stayed low. Her flat shots traveled even faster. Her serve became almost impossible to attack. Most opponents spent the entire match reacting instead of controlling points. That's why very few people ever expected to beat Elena Rybakina on grass. And that's exactly why almost nobody gave Alex Eala any realistic chance before this match. If we are being honest, their doubts made perfect sense, because just 5 weeks earlier, these same two players had already met. The location was Rome. The surface was clay. And unfortunately for Alex Eala, the outcome couldn't have been more different. Rybakina dominated almost every important moment of that match. She dictated rallies from the baseline. She served with authority. She attacked every short ball. Whenever Eala tried to build momentum, Rybakina immediately shut the door. The final score told only part of the story. A straight sets victory. Comfortable. Professional. Convincing. For many people watching that match, it confirmed exactly what they already believed. Alex Eala was talented. She had enormous potential, but she simply wasn't ready to compete with the very best players in the world. And honestly, that's how most young careers unfold. You learn, you lose, you improve. Eventually, years later, you become good enough. That seemed to be the path everyone expected Alex Eala to follow. So when the Berlin draw was released only a few weeks later, fans immediately noticed something. Eala and Rybakina were on a collision course once again. The reaction across social media wasn't excitement. It wasn't curiosity. It was confidence. Confidence that the result would probably look exactly the same as it had in Rome. Nobody was asking, can Alex Eala beat Elena Rybakina? Instead, people were asking, asterisk, how quickly will Rybakina finish the match this time? Asterisk. Those are two very different conversations. One gives hope. The other assumes the outcome before the players even step onto the court. But while everyone else was making predictions, Alex Eala wasn't reading headlines. She wasn't wasting energy responding to criticism. She wasn't trying to convince people they were wrong. Instead, she disappeared. Not from tennis, but from the spotlight. Because she understood something that many athletes never learn. You don't answer doubt with words. You answer it with preparation. And that's exactly what she started doing. While the tennis world focused on bigger tournaments, Alex quietly entered a much smaller event in Birmingham. It wasn't glamorous. There weren't huge crowds. There wasn't constant media attention. Very few sports pages even talked about it. To casual fans, it looked like just another tournament. But for Alex Eala, it became the most important tournament of her season. Because this wasn't about winning headlines. It was about rebuilding confidence. It was about becoming a completely different player before anyone realized she was changing. And day after day, that's exactly what happened.